You are Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome on into your Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST. After the Denver Nuggets suffer a tough loss at the hands of the San Antonio Spurs as Victor Wembanyama does what Victor Wembanyama does, which is create problems for every single team that he faces. I will say this, and we'll get into this throughout the course of the program here tonight. I thought Nikola Jokic for 40-plus minutes, 90% of the game, 95% of the game, outplayed Victor Wembanyama. I thought Victor Wembanyama had a little bit of a soft whistle tonight as well. He had 5 fouls. I am surprised that Denver was not able to pull out this victory here tonight. But I'm your host, Aniello Piro. Welcome on into your Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST here on this Friday, January the 3rd. Happy New Year. Had a couple of things I had to take care of over the last couple of days, so I'm back in the saddle, though, here at Ball Arena Live. Hope everybody's doing well out there. And tonight's episode of your Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. And your final score here tonight, 113-110. Denver falls to 19-14 on the year, 10-6 at home. San Antonio improves to 18-16 on the year. They are now 6-9 on the road. This snaps a 3-game winning streak for the Denver Nuggets. But I don't know about y'all. Let's take the loss and the emotion of the loss out of it. I am hyped up to see Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama duel once again tomorrow night. I think it's a 6 o'clock tip-off local time here in Colorado in San Antonio. That was a phenomenal matchup tonight, man. I mean, they combined for 76 points, those two. 76 points between Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama tonight. So we'll kind of dissect the greatness of Wemby and the greatness of that matchup overall. But here's where I'll start with Victor Wembanyama and this win for the Spurs, and which was a loss for the Denver Nuggets. I think Victor Wembanyama, who turns 21 years old, I believe, tomorrow, I think Victor Wembanyama is the only player, one of maybe the only, maybe even, I said the only, so maybe the only player that could force Nikola Jokic to pass the ball out in the manner in which he did with the game on the line. How many times have we seen Jokic 6, 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, back down, whoop, Sombor shuffle. We have seen that over and over and over and over again. And you know what? If the team brings a double team, he kicks it out to Michael Porter Jr., he kicks it out to Jamal Murray, and they're going to knock down that shot. Tonight, despite the fact that, in my opinion, Nikola Jokic outplayed Victor Wembanyama for a majority of the game, when it mattered most, I don't think I've ever said this, Victor Wembanyama clamped up Nikola Jokic. I mean, I've never seen Nikola, I don't want to say panic, but question his judgment in a sequence quite like I saw there at the end. And I believe it was the possession before he took him to school. Dribble. I think it was an off-balanced layup with the left hand, if I remember correctly, watching it live here at Ball Arena. So Jokic went at Wembanyama in like the previous possession, or maybe the possession prior to that. But when it mattered most, Jokic with the ball in his hands went at Wembanyama, and Wembanyama locked him up. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Nikola Jokic. Victor Wembanyama is an absolute freak of nature. I tweeted it out at Media by AP on social media. 2 years from now, when this kid puts it all together and he figures it out at the ripe age of 23, it is over. It is over for the NBA because he is unguardable. I caught a little bit of the Nuggets pregame show on Altitude Radio driving into the arena, and Jason Kosmiski, who's the radio voice of the Denver Nuggets, talked about, like, how do you guard this guy? And he made the comparison that, like, with Nikola Jokic, right, you could try to slow him down by putting the double team on him. He made Jokic. Did you see Russell Westbrook next to Victor Wembanyama today? He made Russell Westbrook look like he was my size. I'm 5'6", and he made Russell Westbrook look like he was this tall. I mean, he is an absolute freak of nature, is Victor Wembanyama. And I want to talk a lot of Nuggets, but I was just so blown away by that final sequence. I really was. There's a lot to get into from the game tonight, but I think that is the starting point because that is probably the first time in prime Jokic, MVP Jokic era that I've seen him second guess himself at the end of a game like that. And I understand that it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows for the Denver Nuggets this year, right? It's not the Denver Nuggets team that won the championship 2 years ago. Heck, it's not even the team that could have won a championship last year before losing to Minnesota in 7 at home. Much different team, much different complexion. I've talked about their lack of fire, their lack of passion, their lack of juice. They played with some fire and passion tonight down the stretch. And that third quarter was incredible for Denver. But unable to slow down Victor Wembanyama and company when it mattered most. So we'll see it. So we got a comment here. Why didn't they call a timeout at the end? Malone was just standing over there like Darvin Ham. Look, I get it as well, but I think the call there from Michael Malone is trusting Nikola Jokic, who put up, let me check my notes here tonight. Was it 41 points for the Joker? Hold on, let's look here. I know it was 40 plus. Yeah, 41 points tonight for Nikola Jokic. It wasn't very efficient. He took 36 shots from the field. But I think that's as much of trusting the flow of your team. I mean, they did play well in the second half. Michael Porter Jr. hit some threes. Christian Brown hit some threes, or maybe it was a 3, but Christian Brown hit some nice shots as well. Look, I understand why people would be upset at not calling the timeout, but let's say that Malone does the call timeout, the same sequence kind of play. I mean, yes, they could run a play out of the, whatever it might be, but Wembanyama on Jokic, I'm not so sure that's not the same result. That's kind of where I'm at on that one. Victor Wembanyama with 5 fouls with the game on the line put Nikola Jokic in the closet. And again, that doesn't take anything away from Nikola Jokic. He's still the best player in the world, still the front runner to win MVP. They had a timeout after the Vassell dunk. We were down 3 with 1.7 left. Yeah, okay, that's what you're talking about. That's a good point. Malone just spoke. I'm sure maybe he addressed it after the game as well. But tonight, man, disappointing loss for Denver, 113-110. I'm surprised. Oftentimes I've come on here and I've talked about how I'm not surprised when Denver loses, or I am surprised when they're down and they come back to win. Tonight, I'm very surprised that they lost this game, to be honest with you, because I just thought the way that they came out in the third quarter, they did a decent job of surviving the non-Jokic minutes there to start the fourth, and then it all kind of just crumbled away for Denver tonight. So, as I mentioned, Nikola Jokic, what a game from him. 41 points. He keeps leveling up. A Sombor double, finishes 1 assist shy of a triple-double. 18 rebounds for the big fella tonight. 18 rebounds for Nikola Jokic. You love to see that. But unfortunately, it did not do them any obviously it did him good, but it did not change the overall trajectory of this game as Denver loses this one tonight, 113-110. We'll save some more of the stats, take a look at some of the X's and O's here coming up in just a moment here on the second segment. Like I said, we'll talk a little Victor Wembanyama, a little Nikola Jokic battle. I am stoked that we get to see that matchup again tomorrow. A little bit of a revenge spot for Joker. If you guys got some comments, got some thoughts, I know we see we got some people talking about the decision not to make it to call a timeout. We got Daniel, who's always talking about Malone being fired every single show in the comment section. No, Michael Malone is not going to get fired, and no, Coach Prime isn't going to get fired, and no, Sean Payton's not going to get fired. I don't know what your fixation is. I respect the dedication to the firing comments that you're always dropping, but I don't think any of these guys are going anywhere anytime soon. I'll put it that way. Jared Bednar's not going anywhere. I know I don't do abs, but I don't think any Denver, Colorado sports coach is getting fired anytime soon. To put it lightly there. But if you guys got any additional comments on the game, any thoughts or opinions on Denver's 113-110 loss tonight, go ahead and drop those comments, guys. Let me know how you guys are feeling out there after Denver loses a close one to the San Antonio Spurs, 113-110, your final score. Denver actually, they got good contributions tonight out of Michael Porter Jr. Jamal wasn't great, but, he was all right, I guess. He's been trending upwards overall. Christian Brown, he's been pretty, I don't want to say even up and down. He's been pretty down for the last month-ish. I thought he had a nice game tonight. I thought Julian Strother did some nice stuff off the bench, but ultimately they just had no way to slow down Victor Wembanyama and this San Antonio Spurs team tonight. 3-point shooting could have been a little bit better, right? That's the common denominator. Like I said, we'll get into these stats. Although Denver actually outshot San Antonio from 3, but it's a 3-point league. It's a make or miss league. And if Denver can up the ante on the 3-point shots, man, they're going to be a lot better moving forward this season. But it's interesting. It's one game. They had won 3 in a row, right? Not the worst way to lose a game, obviously it sucks to lose a game, but you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. Not to try to be generic here, but they were on a 3-game win streak. You're happy about that. One loss tonight, albeit in brutal, heartbreaking fashion, I don't think it wipes away the success that Denver's experienced in the last 3 games. So they've got some tough matchups coming up. San Antonio tomorrow, Boston coming up next week as well. And so we'll see exactly what happens here. But why don't I hit my first break, guys? When we come back, let's dive into some of the numbers as the Denver Nuggets lose tonight, 113-110. Your final score, losing to the San Antonio Spurs. Drop some comments. Let me know how you're feeling out there, Nuggets Nation. What could Denver have done better? What was your takeaway tonight? What was your play of the game, your moment of the game, your player of the game? I know who mine is, that's for sure. We'll come back and we'll talk about it when we come back right here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Back in just a moment, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Because the NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's absolutely thrilling, guys. Like I said, which players are going to score a touchdown? How many points will each team score? You could bet Jokic player props, Wemby player props, Jamal, MPJ, all the player props in the NBA as well. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Check them out, guys. My personal favorite sportsbook. I know it'll be yours too. Check out our friends over at FanDuel and let them know that Locked On Nuggets sent you. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope everybody is doing well out there, broadcasting live from the friendly confines of Ball Arena. Although they were not so friendly tonight for the Denver Nuggets as they lose 113-110 to the San Antonio Spurs. One other sequence, you guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. Make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. Helps me out a ton. Got some good news about the future of the shows moving forward. So, nothing to confirm, nothing to fully report, but we're sticking around, man. We got the postcast coming up. Of course, we just finished a Buff season. We got the Broncos big game on Sunday. Rockies coming up as well, which I have a lot of fun with. And of course, your Locked On Nuggets postcast all throughout the course of the season and into the playoffs as well. But one other sequence that I wanted to talk about, it was the sequence there late in the fourth quarter that ultimately ended up giving San Antonio, I don't think it was a 3-point lead at that point, but it gave San Antonio the lead with, I think, under a minute left to play. Victor Wembanyama, drawing a lot of attention, top of the key, looking to maybe shoot the 3-point shot, which he was shooting well tonight, passes to Chris Paul off balance, and Chris Paul, at the ripe age of, 40 years old, just blows past Russell Westbrook. Just absolutely, it eviscerates Russell Westbrook. I mean, it wasn't even that great of a move. Just Russell Westbrook playing way too aggressive up on Chris Paul. Chris Paul blows by him, veteran bunny shot. That's the type of shot you see at the Rec. When you're playing pickup ball at the Rec and you're going up against, maybe some of you and your friends, if you're a younger guy, going up against some of those old heads, a little pump fake, a little floater there right at the free throw line. For the layup. That's what Chris Paul did to Russell Westbrook there to help give San Antonio the lead at the end of the game. So, look, you're going to live with Westbrook. You're going to die by Westbrook, right? No Aaron Gordon still. And it's been, probably 6 or 7-ish games now, I would say, without Aaron Gordon. It's been quite a bit of games. And, look, if Aaron Gordon's out there tonight, I feel confident in saying they probably win that game, right? He's going to have an overall much bigger impact on defense, grabbing some boards, doing the whole 9. That's what AG does. Did not feel that way after the Cleveland loss. I think Denver just got completely outclassed in that loss to Cleveland. I know there was a lot of salty Cavs fans in the comments section talking about, you guys don't give the Cavs enough credit. I talked a lot about the Cavs in that episode. And Cleveland, in my opinion, is the best team in the NBA right now. Thunder might give them a run for their money. That would be an incredible NBA Finals matchup if it gets that far. But point being, the loss of the Cavs is a lot different than the loss tonight. And while Denver maybe had some mental errors late in that game, unable to hit a couple of clutch shots, Jamal missed one. I think Strawther missed one there late as well. That could have helped create some separation. Denver did have a lead in this game down the stretch in the fourth. like I said, they did a decent job of surviving the non-Jokic minutes there in the fourth quarter, but just unable to put the game away. And the reason I'm also surprised that Denver was unable to put the game away, you even saw Jokic there late in the fourth try to kind of foul bait Victor Wembanyama, who had 5 fouls with about 8-ish minutes left to play in this game. So they had Wemby on the ropes. They had to force Victor Wembanyama to play a little bit more tentative out there. And Jokic at one point throwing the hands up. I didn't get the best view of it. I saw some people on social media saying it should have been a foul. Obviously, it was not called. That could have changed the overall trajectory of this game for sure, because Victor Wembanyama is just an absolute freak out there. And this was my first time watching Wemby as well. I'm not trying to make this the Wemby show, but the dude's a freak. I mean, there's a reason why his nickname is the Alien or the Martian or whatever they call him. I mean, if you have not had the opportunity to watch Victor Wembanyama live, do yourself that favor. I don't think there's many players in sports that I would personally go out of my way to go watch whenever they're in town. Like, Victor Wembanyama's got to be the number one player for that, because he is an absolute menace out there. Like I said, he made Russell Westbrook look like he was in grade school with the height discrepancy. He has 4 inches on Nikola Jokic as well. 4 inches taller than Nikola Jokic, who's 7'1". I mean, it's just absolutely sensational. But tonight for Denver, let's take a look at some of these numbers, man. Wemby, 35 points, 14 for 21, 4 of 6 from 3. He also had 18 rebounds, 15 of those being on the defensive end, also added 4 assists, couple of blocks as well. So he went off, but really the rest of the starting lineup for San Antonio was held in check for the most part. I mean, Vassell put up 18 points there. He was the second leading scorer for San Antonio in the game tonight. Harrison Barnes only had 8 points. Chris Paul only 7 points, although that big bucket there in the fourth quarter. Stephon Castle put up 8 points. Where this game also has a difference is off of the bench, man, because they were able to get that being the San Antonio Spurs roughly. They had 31 points of scoring from 2 guys alone off the bench, and Julian Champagne and Keldon Johnson. Champagne put up 15 points. Keldon Johnson put up 16. So, they won the bench battle for sure tonight, as Denver, had collectively 13 points combined from their bench, which is nothing new. Julian Strawther, 23 minutes played. He hit his 3-point shots. You like to see that. 3 of 6 from 3. Needs to continue to work on the defense, which has just been a big issue with Denver in general, but Strawther in particular playing those meaningful minutes off the bench. So you like the 11 points tonight from Straw, 3 of 6 from 3. But, you need to also play. You need to be able to carry your own weight on defense, which has been a struggle here for Julian Strawther this year. Peyton Watson only 2 points, 1 of 4, or 0 of 1 from 3. It was an awful miss. I mean, Watson either drains it, more often than not, he bricks it. But when he misses, he bricks, man. I mean, it is ugly to watch sometimes, Peyton Watson from beyond the arc. But, I mean, that's it, man. Hunter Tyson played 5 minutes, no points. DeAndre Jordan gave you 4 minutes, no points. This is kind of where we're at with the Denver Nuggets in their bench, especially when you're down Aaron Gordon. So you take some of that firepower away by moving Russell Westbrook to the starting lineup. And I'm surprised that Malone, not surprised, but it's interesting that Malone, in this second Aaron Gordon injury of the year, has opted to just move and play a little small ball by moving Russell Westbrook to the starting lineup, because previously it was Peyton Watson who kind of absorbed that starting 4 role next to Nikola Jokic. But right now they're playing real small. Michael Porter Jr. is essentially your de facto 3, or your de facto 4, and you're playing real small ball with MPJ, Jokic, Westbrook, Murray, and Brown out there. Look, I don't really have any strong feelings one way or the other. I'm not sure that it makes much of a difference in regards to how Denver's going to perform on a game in and game out basis, just because the minutes are probably going to end up being somewhat similar. I guess maybe a little bit more in favor of Peyton Watson, but he also hasn't shown you enough, I think, to warrant those consistent minutes. He has it on the defensive end at times. Peyton swats in the blocks, the big body, right? You like that, but you need some offensive production and you need shooting, especially with just the way that the season has gone for the Denver Nuggets. So definitely something to keep an eye on there, is how Malone continues to monitor the lineup so long as Aaron Gordon is out. But Denver got just destroyed in the rebound battle tonight, guys. I mean, 56 boards for San Antonio compared to just 45 for the Nuggets. They both shot relatively the same from three-point land. Denver 15 of 40. That's good for 37.5%. San Antonio was 13 for 36, 36.1%, so not too far off there. And San Antonio shot slightly better, a decent amount better than Denver from the field. 46 for 98 with San Antonio for 46.9%, so call it 47%, whereas Denver was 42 of 98 for 42.9% from the field. So, the offense was there, the defense was there at points. It's just in these critical moments, Denver was unable to get it done. And, one area where Denver could have really capitalized tonight is, we know that San Antonio is a very, very good rebounding team, but Denver has to try to be able to counter that by getting out and running. And they only had 14 fast break points tonight, whereas San Antonio had 15. If Denver's able to get out there and run, something to keep an eye on for tomorrow's matchup against San Antonio, I think they have a good chance to bounce back and win that game. I do believe that. And another thing is Denver did not do a great job of just pouncing off of the turnovers. They had 14 total turnovers tonight at San Antonio. That only resulted in 13 points for Denver. So, leaving some money on the table there, for lack of a better phrase, the Denver Nuggets. They also turned the ball over tonight 8 times. That resulted in 9 points tonight for the San Antonio Spurs. But, Denver led by as many as 5 at points in this game. That third quarter was explosive, where Denver outscored San Antonio 38-27. And then, the offense just went dormant. Only 20 points for Denver there in the fourth quarter. Not like San Antonio lit it up either. They put up 26, but just ultimately not enough. Not enough offensive output. And a little bit of a breakdown there late in this game, last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, that ultimately dug the graves tonight for the Denver Nuggets. But your final score, 113-110. All right, let me hit my final break, guys. When we come back, we will put a bow on the show. Couple of closing thoughts on the game here tonight. I guess we'll do a little conversation about tomorrow, because it's the same matchup, just in San Antonio instead of Denver. So should be a fun one. Jokic-Wemby one more time. If you got any thoughts, opinions, comments, questions, go ahead and drop those in the comment section. Let me know how you're feeling out there as the Denver Nuggets lose tonight, 113-110, your final score. All right, hit a quick break. Come back, do just that right here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Game Time, because I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year, and that's an actual endorsement. Billy Joel at Coors Field with my folks. Great time. The energy and excitement were unforgettable. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming game using the Game Time app. With Game Time Picks, I found amazing deals and could even see the view, could see my view from my seat before I purchased. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at an unbeatable price. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, you guys, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Wrapping it up here on this Friday night. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Hope you guys are doing well in 2025. Unfortunately for tonight, the Denver Nuggets not so well. 113-110 at your final score. Denver now at 19-14 on the season. And usually I feel like I'm a little bit more of a Debbie Downer. Frankly, I tend to rip them, in games where they should win. But here's my one kind of Debbie Downer take. And I've said this a few times in some pretty bad losses for Denver at home, although I don't think this was an egregious loss. Cleveland was bad. Oklahoma City game 1 of the year was bad. A couple of Knicks was bad. 6 losses already for Denver at home. It's a game that Denver hasn't lost typically at home the last 2 years. And that, I think, speaks to the overall just nature of this Denver Nuggets team, trying to find their way, trying to find their footing, right? They've been unable to kind of string it together. They've done it in spurts, right? Nice 3-game win streak, but who they beat, right? They beat the Hawks, the Jazz, and who am I missing in that game or in that sequence? Let me see. The Pistons, right? So, I mean, 3 wins against teams that, frankly, you should beat, right? You beat the Pistons 134-121, the Jazz 132-121, and the Hawks 139-120, right? So you're happy about that. But this is also the other common denominator in Denver's wins for the most part. I mean, let's see if I could do this. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of their last 8 wins, 7 of the 8 wins have come with 120-plus points scored for Denver on offense. The lone exception to that was game 1 against Phoenix on the 23rd of December, where they won 117-90, so 3 points off. But Denver is having to outpace other teams offensively in order to win a lot of their games. I mean, looking at some of their losses as well, tonight they score under 120. They scored 135 against Cleveland, but the defense was non-existent. They scored 100 against Phoenix, lost that game. They lost to Portland, scored 124, but, still. Lost to Washington, 113, lost to the Cavs, 114. So, that's definitely something to track here is when Denver is not firing on all cylinders on offense and able to get significant contributions around Nikola Jokic, because he had 41 tonight. And odds are when Nikola Jokic has 41 points, he should score probably more than 110, if we're being honest here. And like I said, Michael Porter Jr. put up 22 points, but only 14 tonight from Jamal. I mean, Denver is still just lacking something. And I don't think it's going to change really whatsoever. I don't think Denver's going to make a big move. I don't think Zach LaVine's on the table. I think if any moves will be made, and I do think they'll make a move or two, I think it'll be for some more complementary type of role players, some bench players. But I really don't envision Denver trading any of their core 5 or 6 players this season to try to go for it this year. That's for a number of different reasons, but frankly, I just don't think the trade market is there, nor is the value of what Denver's going to be able to sell or ship out, rather. So just something to keep an eye on here with this Denver Nuggets team as we move forward throughout the course of the year is when they score 120 plus, their odds are they're going to win. And that should probably be the case for, this team in the NBA with the pedigree and the talent that they have, right? That's not shocking. But tonight you see when they have to play these kind of grind them out games late, we've seen them miss shots late. We've seen them play bad defense late. And tonight we saw Victor Wembanyama throw Nikola Jokic in the corner and clamp him up. And again, I think Victor Wembanyama is probably the only player right now that I think can legitimately do that on a relatively consistent basis on Nikola Jokic. Jokic would be better for it. I mean, he had a great game tonight. Soundboard double, 41 points, 18 boards, 9 assists. So, you don't want to take anything away from Joker there. But it was just a very interesting sequence to me at the end of that game to see Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs grow in the manner in which they did. Because last year, obviously, we know no Chris Paul, right? Different roster. San Antonio was not a good team last year. This year, they're probably going to make the playoffs. And the Western Conference is ferocious. So it'll be interesting. Denver with an opportunity, of course, tomorrow to get their get back. 6 p.m. tip-off at San Antonio. And this is an interesting stretch of 3 games now for Denver coming up at San Antonio, home against Boston with a couple of days rest. They'll be off Sunday. They'll be off Monday. They play Boston on Tuesday, 8 p.m. tip TNT game. So some national spotlight here for Denver, who hasn't been in the national spotlight I guess they're on Christmas. That's not true. And then a back-to-back on the 8th against the Clippers at home as well. So a road game in San Antonio, followed up by a mini little 3-game home stretch here. Boston, LA, Brooklyn, the next 3 home games here for Denver. But we'll see if they can get back on track tomorrow and try to right their wrongs when they take on the San Antonio Spurs once again. But all right, folks, that is going to do it for me from Ball Arena. Appreciate y'all tapping in. As always, make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. You guys can follow me on social media as well at Media by AP. Tough one tonight for Denver as they lose to the San Antonio Spurs, 113-110, your final score. My guys, Matt Moore, Ryan Blackburn, Swipa, will have you covered with some additional Denver Nuggets content coming up on your standard Locked On Nuggets podcast. Not sure if they're doing one tonight. They probably will. But plenty of content on your Locked On Nuggets podcast feed. Appreciate y'all. Tough one tonight for the good guys. Back at it again tomorrow. We'll see if Denver can right their wrongs and take down the Spurs. But that is it for me, folks. Enjoy your Friday night. Happy New Year once again. Talk to you guys mañana.